is for section 10.6. This is just going to give you a shortcut for how to identify what kind of conic it is when it's something that's kind of hard to put into your graphing calculator. So this is the general form of a conic section. Any conic section can have this form. You guys are not going to see this piece. You will in pre-calc. Okay, so we're going to have an x squared, a y squared, some other x's and y's, and typically a constant. Okay, so remember this is our our standard form of each of these. Remember a and b are interchangeable in ellipse. A is always bigger and represents the major axes. Hyperbola, x can come first or y can come first, and that tells you about does it open horizontally or vertically. Okay, so these are written in general form. So if it's in standard form, I can just look at it and know what it is. Now, if it's in general form, it looks like this. How do I tell what it is? So here, I'm going to give you guys a couple shortcuts. Okay, so we're going to just look at the x squared and the y squared, okay? So if, we'll put this. So x squared and y squared have same positive coefficients. So this is an example of a circle because they're both positive 4. So they're exactly the same and they're positive. If that is the case, it will always be a circle. If the x squared and y squared are positive, but they're different, it's an ellipse. So x squared and y squared have different positive coefficients. Okay, hyperbola, x squared versus y squared. Hyperbola is the only one that has a negative, and only one of them is going to be negative. So either x squared or y squared is negative. Okay, so those are kind of the three scenarios. So this next piece, we're going to just look at the equation. We're going to try and classify them, and then we're going to rewrite them in standard form by completing the square. Okay, so look at the x squared versus the y squared. I have one of them as negative. This is a hyperbola. Okay, x squared versus y squared, they're the same and both positive. This is a circle. Okay, x squared versus y squared, they're both positive, but they're different. This is an ellipse. Okay, so now they want us to put these in standard form. Okay, so we're going to do that by completing the square. So I am going to put my x's together, and I'm going to factor out that 4. I'm going to factor out that negative. And then I'm going to move 13 to the other side, and I'm going to save space to add these pieces. All right. So this will factor, oh, I got to add my piece, sorry. B over 2 is 1, squared is 1. That will factor, add 1 there, into 4 times x plus 1 squared. Here, I have b over 2 is 3, squared is 9, so negative 9. This will factor into be y plus 3 squared. Over here I have 13 plus 4 is 17, minus 9 is 8. And then I'm going to divide everything by 8 because I know hyperbolas in standard form need to equal 1. Can reduce that to 2, so x plus 1 squared over 2 minus y plus 3 squared over 8 equals 1. So I knew it was a hyperbola, so I know what it should look like at the end as well. Circle, I also am going to complete the square, put the x's together and factor out a 6. Let's see, y squared, factor out a 6 as well. This one's not super nice. This is 1/2 y. If I divide negative 3 by 6, that's where I'm getting the 1/2 from. Okay, equals, subtract the 6 over. And we're gonna save spots to add. All right, here, this factors into be okay, I was gonna do some step before this. So I was just gonna point out, you guys, these are always gonna be the same for a circle. So I could actually divide by 6 right now, or you can do it at the end. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just do it at the end since I already have this started. So I'm gonna factor here. So you've got b over 2 squared is 1, oh, that factors here. And add the 1 there, okay. 1/2. Half of a half is a 4th, squared is a 16th. So b over 2 is a 4th, and squared is a 16th. All right, so this factors now to be y minus 1/4 squared equals, over here, this is gonna cancel, I'm left with 0, 6 over 16. Okay, and then I would divide everything by 6. So divide by 6 on both sides, because I don't want the coefficients in front of those. So dividing by 6 over 1. So we got x plus 1 squared plus y minus a 4 squared. So keep change flip. I've got 6 over 16 times 1/6. So we get 1/16. So my center is -1 1/4. My radius squared is 1/16. So my radius is a 4th. That's what standard equation of a circle should look like, right? X minus h, y minus k, and then r squared. Last one, an ellipse. Pull my x's and factor out a 4. Pull my y's. Factor out a 6, oh, and I got the same thing again. I got 1/2. And then I'm gonna move, that's 6 to the other side. Save spots for these. All right, okay. b over 2 is 3/2, squared is 9/4. Okay, again, this is the 1/16. Okay, we just did that one up above. This factors x plus 3/2 squared, 1/4. And then here my 4 and 4 cancel, so I've got -6 plus 9 is 3. And 3 plus 6 over 16. Okay, so I'm going to get a common denominator here. So I'm going to multiply. I'm going to reduce this one, though. I'm going to change that to 3/8. So I don't have to deal with quite as big. All right, so 3/8. Let's change this to an 8. So we're going to multiply by 8 over 8. Okay, so we have 4 times x plus 3/2 squared plus 6 y minus a 4 squared. Okay, here I'm going to get 24 plus 3 is 27 over 8. Okay, I want this to equal 1. So normally I divide by itself. That's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So 8 over 27. This whole thing, we are multiplying by 8 over 27. Okay, so here's what we got. We got 32 over 27. Let's write like this, sorry. So we got 32 x plus 3/2 squared over 27 plus 6 times 8 is 48. Y minus 1/4 squared over 27 equals 1. Okay, so remember, we don't want that coefficient in there. So how I'm going to officially write this is we have x plus 3/2 squared over, right, multiplying by a number is the same as dividing by its reciprocal. So we're going to write that as 27 over 32 plus y minus 1/4 squared over 27 over 48 equals 1. Woo, that one was a doozy. All right, so identifying conics, look at x squared and y squared, compare. And then this is just some more practice completing the square and putting things in standard form.